Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, the lovely Leah and Michelle. That's lovely Leah, not lovely Michelle.
Those hoop earrings are so big, I could just jump through it.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
So
who's
it's
jumping
the
through?
size of a hula hoop.
It is. So today is Friday the 13th, if you're superstitious. It is also the day that Felicity Huffman has been given 250 hours of community service and 14 days in jail for paying $15,000 for her daughter's SAT scores to be rigged.
Oh, you found my little fidget pen.
I did.
Thanks.
I did. So I wanted to start out with the most important news in America today, and that is that news right there.
So I did not watch all of the debate last night. I have some clips for you. We did watch a large enough portion of it to get a feel for the socialist commie.
Everybody was
policies.
thinking they were a comedian last night. Like, everybody was cracking jokes. Cory Booker's favorite thing is they asked him a question and he said no, and then he said, and then I'm going to answer that in Spanish too. No.
I know.
Ha ha. He's so funny.
I wonder how many times
his girlfriend says that she feels like she's dating Captain America. She literally says, she's like an actress, one of those beautiful brown Carmelite women that makes you sick because they're so beautiful. That's what she said. Yeah, I feel like I'm dating Captain America.
But he's not married.
I know.
A lot of commitment going on there. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get into the Democratic debate, and I'm going to give you some clips on that. But to start out, Dave Rubin interviewed Tulsi Gabbard, who was not on the stage last night, and I am really upset that she and Maryann Williamson
I know. It almost made the debates not worth watching.
On the
it did,
stage.
really.
It was stupid. That's probably why I didn't want to watch it. But I have clips from both of them that you're going to enjoy, and this is why they're not on the stage, by the way. And you can put Maryann Williamson in the tags, too, because Maryann Williamson, Democrats are mean or something. Maybe tag that.
Okay.
So here, Tulsi Gabbard is suing Google because Google owns our world, our lives.
Of this lawsuit.
Oh, we're not. It's okay. I'll turn this. Oh, here we go.
Give it
Dr. Robert Epstein, not to be confused with the sex trafficker Epstein. He has a pretty cool article here on 7 simple steps you can do to get away from Google, to get away from their all-seeing eye. Everything we do, and look, there's my Google thing coming up. That's so
creepy.
Funny. Everything we do is tracked by Google. And see, here's the thing. That Google doesn't actually sell any products. They give away a lot of free products, but they sell ads. That's what they do. So they need information, and they need targeted ad placement.
Right.
Dr. Epstein says that he has not received a targeted ad on his computer or phone since 2014.
Not to be confused with Epstein.
I just said
that. Okay,
yeah.
sorry. I'm trying to share this everywhere.
So here are... if you care about your privacy, or even if you're just sick of being bombarded by ads for diet pills seconds after you, these are his recommendations.
Okay.
All Gmails, including incoming and outgoing, even the angry draft emails you decide not to send, are analyzed and stored permanently by Google, with
creepy.
every snippet of information the company can extract from your emails added to a massive profile it has compiled about you. Imagine the government getting a hold of that.
I love it.
You know, we're getting kind of there. I mean, even Trump's pushing the line on a social credit system for gun purchases.
Yeah.
Using online
which
activity.
It is wrong.
He recommends using Proton Mail instead of Gmail. It's based in Switzerland.
Proton Mail's still out there?
Proton Mail.
Isn't that like old? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that was like available in the 90s.
It's based in Switzerland and subject to strict Swiss privacy laws. It takes only a few seconds to sign up, and the company doesn't ask you anything. Imagine that. The basic service is free, and the paid version is cheap. Proton Mail is incredibly easy to use, and it also uses end-to-end encryption for maximum privacy. Now, you may be using Gmail and not even know it. To save money, thousands of businesses and universities use Gmail. Now, what Dr. Epstein says is look at view the full header. It will say, if it says Google at all, you're using Gmail.
Oh, wow.
If you're at work or school. Now this one I do on and off, but I'm thinking about kind of doing a little more permanent switch, switching search engines, okay? Because everything, obviously, even if in incognito mode, they're following you. It's the most aggressive spying tool ever invented. It was actually funded by the NSA and the CIA. So when people say that Google is a company, a private company, well, actually, when you're funded by the government, now you are part of the government. So yeah, you need to be subject to the free speech laws, right? It was actually designed to identify people who are a threat to national security. Seriously. So Google records every search you conduct. Your Google profile contains a complete history of every search you have ever done.
Okay, so first
even
of all,
the sketchy ones.
That's fine, I guess. As a, and I hate to say this because I like it when other people say it, but like I don't do anything wrong, and so I don't really care. But what does bother me is knowing that they are listening to my words. Doing an internet search to me is one thing, even though I still think it's wrong that they're doing it. Please don't mistake me here. But the thing that really gets to me that I don't know if they're going to address in this article is the fact that they are listening. It's not just an email that you send. If you say something, you and I could be on a dog walk or just talking right now, and my cell phone is picking up what I'm saying, and I could say something about, lawnmowers or whatever, and the next ad, like I'm looking for a lawnmower, then my ads on Facebook are now going to have lawnmowers on them.
Exactly. So
just saying it.
So I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to Chrome because I just heard about this last night, and I'll see how it goes. I go to DuckDuckGo, and I use DuckDuckGo a lot to get real search results. It's hard for me to the search results on DuckDuckGo are not as good, you could say, or is easy to kind of break apart as a Google search. But this is startpage.com that he recommends. So you can go and on your Google browser, you can add it to Chrome. And so I'm going to add that to Chrome myself.
Okay, but how does that help if it's already on Chrome? If you're using Chrome for it to be your browser, though.
And that's the thing. It is different. It is a private search engine.
So Google is not going to be
right.
Okay.
To use the extension, click on this one, and here you're at startpage.com.
Okay.
So that's where you're at.
So search something. Felicity Huffman. Huff. I just want to see what it looks like, what the search results look like. They look just like Google.
So it is Google. And I think that's what he said. I think he said that start page, it says, if you were using the Firefox browser or the new Brave browser, you can even make start page your default engine. Why start page? Because it doesn't track you and because it gives you full access to Google's amazing index. So you won't be tracked. In other words,
but it's not going to give you the best results like DuckDuckGo does, though. It's
right.
just going to make it so it's not tracking your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this says kill Chrome, get rid of Chrome. So you can use Firefox or Brave.com, a Brave browser. And I haven't used that yet. I think I tried the Brave browser. It's like a lion or something, and I did not like it.
It's really hard to have something that competes. It's like when you found out that Donald Trump was going to have his own social media page, and then it kind of turns out that it's might end up just being more of like a campaign page instead of an alternate to Facebook.
But I might try Brave again. Axe Android, which is really going to stink for us because I just bought new phones for us, Android phones, because I don't like iPhone, but iPhone has more privacy. Google owns everything that you do. So
you agree just by using the Android phone pretty much, and that's why I'm saying they can listen to every word that I'm saying.
And here's the
thing.
They
own my words. They own my life.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. They own your life. So I guess Apple and Microsoft make their money by selling products. So if you have a BlackBerry or an Apple iPhone, you are going to be, I guess, less spied on, but I doubt it. So there's a lot more I guess you can do. Michelle, I don't know if I think I tweeted this out. Obviously, and then clear your cache and cookies, and pick a proxy or a VPN. For even more prophecy, sign up for either a proxy or a VPN, virtual private network, a service that creates a buffer between you and the internet, fooling many of the surveillance companies into thinking you're not really you. The VPNs provide more protection than proxies. His favorite VPNs at the moment are NordVPN.com and PrivateInternetAccess.com for under $40 a year with discounts. You can install the Nord or the PIA apps on up to 5 devices. They're lightning fast, and you don't need to be a computer geek to install or use them. And I have often thought about that because I wonder if I would be able to be on the shadow banned if I had a VPN.
Yeah. And it's true, actually. You probably would.
And then there are these sites, the DNS leak test or the browserleaks.com. Before or after taking one or more of these steps, you can check to see how secure your computer or mobile devices by running these tests at these websites. In Dave Eggers' 2013 book, The Circle, released in that movie, crazy, with Emma Watson and Tom Hanks, I saw that.
Yeah,
the only way one of the main characters could find to go off-grid was to kill himself by driving his vehicle off a bridge.
That's awful. And I think we've kind of gotten to that point. Please don't kill yourself. But there is, and actually the answer is there is no way.
Right.
There is no way to be completely anonymous in this world. So AKT, we'll just say Peter. What we just say Peter. Gab has the Dissenter browser.
Yes.
Bert Boz says, Google will love my search history, and then I'll never be allowed to the USA, and I'm obviously a right-wing extremist now. Then it's official. Let's see. Hot Retarded says, delete Google metadata downloads. Stuart the Brit says, Brave is a bit unstable sometimes, but it is quite good. Porky Prickly Plant says, until the government takes away all the big tech companies' exemptions, nothing can be done. They have been exempt since 1996. Peter says, Cyborg Ghost VPN works fine and it's free. So there you go.
Okay, there were some good options.
Or
for you
Redneck
guys.
says you could just start digging tunnels underground and live like mole people.
There you go. All right, so why is Tulsi suing Google?
We filed this lawsuit not just because of what happened there, but because of the kind of power that Google has as this huge tech monopoly to interfere in our public discourse, interfere in what people are seeing when they're going and looking, using their search engine, and really how they can impact our fair elections. We filed this lawsuit not just because...
So the night Tulsi,
the first debate that she did, and she was like
the most Googled candidate
on fire,
and they took away her ability to do ads
because her campaign wanted to capitalize on her fame, and that's what the whole point of these debates is, right?
Exactly.
So that you can get your voice out there to people who may not have heard you before, and then maybe they want to support you for president. But that's not the way the system actually works. It wasn't set up so that Tulsi could get her voice out. It was set up for anybody else but her.
Right. All right, so we're going to move on to some of the Democratic candidates. And this is conversation with the candidate Joe Biden here. This is not part of the debate. But I want to show a pattern of kind of slip-ups from Uncle Joe here.
Instability.
For being here, Mr. Vice President. Growing up as a child in Guyana, my grandfather used to tell us stories that God made the United States. He told us about the wonders and freedoms in this country. I live my life striving to become an American citizen, and I'm proud to have achieved that goal. As president, what will you do? The future grandfathers will continue to share the stories of our great nation.
I've been to Ghana. I've been all through Africa.
So listen one more time to that where he says he's from.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Vice President. Growing up as a child in Guyana, my grandfather used to tell us stories that...
So you can kind of already tell that he's South American by his looks. And you can kind of tell he's South American by
God
his
made
accent.
the United States. He told...
But Guyana is in South Africa, and
Ghana.
If you have been to Ghana, you might...
You mean Guyana is in South America, Ghana is in Africa.
And if he has been to Ghana, which he has been to Ghana and all over Africa, you might know that that is not the same place as Guyana. And as the vice president, here's the thing. Normies would be excused.
I'm allowed to make that mess up for sure.
But not if you're a globe-trotting, jet-setting president, and that's not his only gaffe. It's a pattern of gaffes. Like, if that was the only gaffe, you could say maybe he misheard him.
Right.
But I doubt it.
That's,
Uncle
man,
Joe.
that stinks for that guy anyway. Because he seems sincere.
I know. Here he says, just listen. Now, they had last night, I was like, what are they doing with Jorge Ramos? He's a special guest sometimes on Tucker Carlson. Dude is South American. He's Mexican. He works for the Mexican broadcaster. And
he's actually a pretty evil, slippery snake of a guy.
He's for total open borders. And why is he moderating the Democrat debates? Are we the United States and Mexico now? Like, I don't understand this, but
deportations.
The president did the best thing that was able to be done at the time.
How about you?
I'm the vice president of the United States.
Secretary, deportations.
The president did the best thing that was able to be done at the time.
How about you?
I'm the vice president of the United States.
Secretary, deportations.
So, but here's the thing. Okay, I'm really confused about one thing. Because historically, if you...
By the way, Mike Pence came out and said, actually, I'm the vice president.
I love Mike Pence. If you have been a president or vice president, is the proper etiquette to still refer to that person as vice president so-and-so or president so-and-so? You can... President Obama. When you address him, when you're talking to him.
Well, they addressed him as vice president.
Throughout the entire... That's what I was getting at. Because throughout the entire debate, they kept calling him vice president. Now, okay, so we've got the American Legion Auxiliary, which our grandma was a part of. And when she was the president, she was President Pat. And then when she was no longer president, if you had referred to her as President Pat, then people would have been confused because she's not the president anymore. So is it really that much extra effort to say former Vice President Biden or former President Obama? I mean, I guess maybe I'm more leaning toward it being okay to say president. But vice president, I don't think you get to just like retain that title.
Yeah,
but the fact that he still believes that he is, like, I am the vice president. I still am. It's like he's just living in some sort of weird, although, you know, divorced women often, or even men, refer to their exes as their husband and wife for a while. And he's only not been vice president for 3 years.
Okay, this is my favorite Uncle Joe moment. Uncle Joe is going to tell poor... Black people, poor people, how to raise their children.
This was the best moment of the entire night. If you're not really paying attention, start paying attention right now.
Over and over and over again because I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
We have to make sure that every single child does, in fact, have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds go to school, not daycare, school. We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words. A kid coming from a very poor school, or a very poor background, will hear 4 million words fewer spoken by the time they get there. We have to make sure that every single child does, in fact, have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds go to school, not daycare, school. We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words. A kid coming from a very poor school, or a very poor background, will hear 4 million words fewer spoken by...
So are any of the other Democrats listening to what he's saying? Why did nobody even look up and say, record player? At least...
So first of all, he's in a time warp. Yeah. Okay, so we're playing record.
I'm the vice president.
Right, okay.
They didn't even have record players when you were vice president.
I think, though, that the people that coach these people through these debates of different topics that'll come up and they give them these talking points that they need to memorize, like studying for a test. So he had the 4 million fewer words talking point there, and you can just see the people that coached him through this going, that was not how that was supposed to go. Okay, that wasn't it. And it's embarrassing. And oh my gosh, if the first, I was watching that live. And as soon as he said, make sure the radio is on for children. Now,
because they're not hearing words.
I think I could actually understand what he's saying if he's talking about, so we have open borders and we have all these people from South America rushing over the borders. And how is it that everybody around the world learns English? by listening to the radio, by watching movies, and so on and so forth. So I think that he was conflating two different arguments, because really what he did was he said to all American parents that are of a lower income, you don't know how to raise your child.
And you don't speak words in the home.
And you don't speak words in your home. And so you need to have the television and the radio and the record player teach your child how to speak. You know, and it was just one trip up. Like, it's like, can you fall upstairs? Yes, he did.
Oh my gosh, that was funny. That's a really good way to put it. It's a really good way to put it.
Let's see. Ted says, can memorize the word school as well. Can memorize the word school well. Yeah, exactly.
I was really shocked last night during the debate. Not shocked, but like they're all super pro public school, no school choice. They ganged up on Andrew Yang for school choice. Like, we have to have public school. We're not taking our dollars from the school. We blah 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 blah.
Which doesn't make any sense, because what they are essentially saying, people that are school choice, pro school choice, are saying, listen, there's kids that are in low income schools or low budgeted schools, or however you want to say it, and they're not getting a good education. And if their parent wants to take those dollars and put them in a better school, they should be allowed to do that. And what these people, this goes to show you how they really aren't pro the lower income communities. They're not fighting for you. They want to keep you down. They keep saying they just want to put more funding into those schools. Well, guess what? You're going to have violence, and you're going to have a poor school district, regardless of how much money you throw at it, just because of community. So somebody, who was it? Was it Yang or was it Castro that addressed the fact that we actually, it might have even been Cory Booker, I don't know, but it was a good point. You need to, it's not enough to just throw money at these schools. You have to go to the communities and build the communities up. And so it doesn't matter how much money you throw at the schools. So they're really just trying to take away opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
From these people. They don't want
it's to keep them on the Democratic plantation, for sure.
Yeah.
And in order to keep people on the Democratic plantation, Beto O'Rourke will take away your guns, all of your guns, pretty much. And in 2018, he said, if you have an AR-15, it's your gun. We're not going to come and take it.
El Paso is your hometown. Some on this stage have suggested a voluntary buyback for guns in this country. You've gone further. You said, quote, Americans who own AR-15s and AK-47s will have to sell them to the government, all of them. You know, the critics call this confiscation. Are you proposing taking away their guns, and how would this work?
I am. If it's a weapon that was designed to kill people on a battlefield, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Now, just so that you know, Beto O'Rourke, and this is actually a Googleable thing. Beto O'Rourke arrested. Beto O'Rourke was arrested in the 1990s for
burglary
and a DUI.
Okay, I did not know this.
So
he's from all this money. What did he need to steal?
Well, he's not from money. He's married into money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see. In 1995, he had a misdemeanor arrest. And then the big one is in September of 1998. And when he was 26 years old, he was driving drunk, and he fled the scene. Wow. And the witness had to say, hey, he's running away. And so yeah, he says he's owned up for it, and he says he's owned up to it and has taken responsibility for it.
He said it's far more serious mistake that he drove under the influence of alcohol. There's no justifying that, he said.
Yeah. It says that let's see. The oldest published account of the arrest appears to be in 2005, El Paso, story about O'Rourke's successful run for the city council. Let's see. He says, I've been open about it since the very beginning. I have owned up to it, and I have taken responsibility. Well, guess what? You used a weapon.
A vehicle
under the influence.
Yes.
And you could have very well killed people. So, by your own logic, you should never be allowed to drive ever again, and no one else should, because, you know, it's a weapon.
I agree.
Okay, so he says, yes, we're taking everybody's guns, but asked on
AR-15,
MSNBC,
what would you do with the people who don't voluntarily surrender their semi-automatic rifles?
I'm going to work with police chiefs, with sheriffs, with law enforcement to make sure that we implement this in the most effective way possible. And actually, this policy is informed not just by listening to shooting victims and survivors, Bombs Demand Action, March for Our Lives, but also talking to and listening to police chiefs who don't want to go up against an AR-15.
He's lying because most police chiefs and most police officers want people armed.
Exactly.
An AK-47 and realize there are more than 10 million of these weapons of war on the street right now. So we will...
They are not weapons of war, by the way. They don't use the AR-15 in war.
Right.
Craft something, working with members of Congress, working with local law enforcement, that makes the most sense, but it will, by and large, be dependent on people complying with the law.
Okay, so just to underline it, it will be voluntary. It won't be, hell yes, we'll come get your guns.
It's not voluntary. I want to make sure that we make the distinction here. It is mandatory.
Look at Willie's face. Huh? By and large, it will be voluntary, but it was mandatory.
The law. You will be required to comply with the law. So, I mean, as with many of our laws, we don't go door to door searching people's homes to see if they are in fact breaking the law. But we expect
you mean like illegal immigrants?
people to comply with the law.
But it's Congressman, you know, the law is that those guns are legal right now. So how would they be breaking the law by owning those guns?
Well, because by working with Congress and listening to the American people, who I believe form a majority on this issue of buying back AR-15s and AK-47s, we're going to change the law so that it will no longer be legal to hold one of these. This is the logical process we need to follow. So if every Democrat...
Did you notice how he keeps putting... They all want to put the AR-15 with the AK-47? Like, totally insane.
On that stage last night agrees that we should no longer be selling AR-15s and AK-47s because when you're shot with one of those high-impact, high-velocity rounds, it blows a hole out your system the size of an...
He doesn't understand that there are deer rifles, the 30-06. You gonna take that, buddy? Because that thing will tear you up. We shot one of them. Okay? We have shot the 223 AR-15. We have shot the 30-06. That 30-06 is gonna blow you to pieces. An AR-15 with a 223 is a bullet. It goes right through the target. That's what I can tell you. It goes right through the target. Doesn't blow anything up. When we shot that 30-06, our whole target went to smithereens. It was a waste of a target. It was a waste of everything we had set up. It blew everything up.
Stuart the Bit says, what about 50 calibers?
Yeah, and see, here's the thing. This guy, he wants to be president, but I am not a gun person. I do not pretend to be Dana Loesch. Do not put me on the radio for any sort of gun statistics, gun anything.
Right.
Okay? I have minimal gun knowledge, obviously more than Beto. And more hands-on experience, which is not saying a lot when it comes to certain guns. But, so, heck yes, he's going to come for your guns.
So, the AR-15 is really just a scary-looking weapon. But there are other rifles that don't look like it.
The 223.
That shoot the 223. And so it doesn't make any sense.
Is your basic? Is it gonna? It's gonna be your hunting. A lot of people use that for your hunting caliber.
Yeah.
You got to be careful where you shoot it because it can go really far. That's its claim to fame.
But if you're gonna go and shoot up a Walmart, I mean,
yeah, it's gonna be expensive.
You're gonna hurt a lot more people if you use like a shotgun or something, you know, with birdshot or whatever.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, could you pass the background check? Says Dana Loesch. Now, back to Uncle Joe. You ready for this one? he says these things, and I'm constantly thinking to myself, the line from Princess Bride, you keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. So here he says, nobody should be in jail for a non-violent crime. We're going to talk about it, but just listen, because just listen.
Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. As when we were in the White House, we released 36,000 people from the federal prison system. Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime.
Okay, now, there are a lot of non-violent crimes. Actually, most crime is non-violent. If you write a bad check, not violent. If you go into somebody's home and steal all of their things, that's actually not a violent crime unless it's with armed robbery. Okay, you can steal things and it's actually not violent to do so. You can, well, there's a long, you could launder money, right?
Right.
You can lie to the FBI.
Oh my goodness.
So Flynn shouldn't go to jail.
Right.
Right? Manafort shouldn't be in
jail. So if you're a drug dealer
Cohen
and you never use a gun.
No, he's saying no,
right.
no, non-violent crime. So you have to actually one-on-one hurt a person. That's like a minimal amount of crime. Oh, okay, a lot of people are doing a lot of things. They're faking people out. They're stealing things, cheating people. Non-violent.
It's embarrassing.
Okay, so here we have a little bit from Andrew Yang, who has...
It was like he decided all of a sudden he was a talk show host or something like
Bob
that.
Barker, come on down.
We're doing
the
a
next
giveaway
contestant on President. I'm right.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta see how this. I don't see how this doesn't knock him out. Like he's got to be. I don't think.
Did
this
he
is
just try to buy votes?
He says Andrew Yang announced during the debate last night that, and I heard this, he would select 10 families, random, to give them a total of $120,000 over the next year as part of a pilot program for his universal basic income plan. He announced the online raffle during his opening statement. People will be able to enter during the next week, according to a person with knowledge of the plans. The money will be distributed to 10 families in increments of $1,000 per month as a way of highlighting Yang's signature campaign promise, a universal basic income. That plan, which Yang has dubbed the Freedom Dividend, would provide every citizen over the age of 18 with $1,000 a month. How does that happen? Like, the math doesn't work out. This is modern monetary theory. If you're giving everyone $1,000, where's the $1,000 coming from?
Right.
The campaign official said the money would come from campaign funds, and would be paid out over the full year, even if Yang does not become a nominee. Currently, Yang is paying out of his own pocket to provide 2 families in Iowa and New Hampshire with the $12,000 per year benefit. I guess he's doing his own test runs. I don't understand how he has not kicked out for this, though, because you can't buy votes. Like,
my campaign will now give a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month for an entire year to 10 American families, someone watching this at home right now. If you believe that you can solve your own problems better than any politician, go to yang2020.com and tell us how $1,000 a month will help you do just that. This is how we will get our country working for us again, the American people.
So, okay, so from a legal standpoint,
Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
I don't think
she's clapping.
I don't think it's actually illegal because he didn't say you have to vote for me if you get it. That would be buying votes.
It's original, I'll give you that.
It is original. Listen, I have to give props to Yang for doing it. It can't be though because he's not buying votes though.
It's got to be illegal.
So I just watched a little Jimmy Stewart movie the other day, where they were trying to give away some money, and they had to, even back then in like the 40s, had to do it. They couldn't figure out a lawful way to do it, and it had to be like a raffle. And so there are a lot of hoops that you have to, like, laws that are in place for giving away money. And so I think that that's really interesting that he's attempting to do that.
Commercial break. Are you ready for this? The Justice Department has announced that it will reveal the name of an individual, a Saudi individual, aiding the 9/11 hijackers. So it's declassified. Now, Thomas Massey says, I've read the unredacted 9/11 report as well as the redacted 9/11 report. Many of the redactions weren't just unnecessary. They were designed to reduce the impact of the documents released to the public. I'm glad to hear the Trump administration is revealing more of the document. So the Trump administration will reveal the name of an individual believed to be connected to the Saudi government who is accused of aiding the 9/11 hijackers. We are going to see where this plays out. So obviously, any news on 9/11 is good news to find out, you know, for truthers out there. Don't need you. Okay, stop. Does it, when I press pause, does it mean jump to the other side of the screen? The Justice Department will reveal the name of an individual believed to be connected to the Saudi government and accused of aiding 2 of the 9/11 hijackers. Prosecutors said in court Thursday the person's identity will remain a closely guarded secret for now, though it will be shared with attorneys representing the families of the victims of the attacks who have alleged the government of Saudi Arabia helping to coordinate the terrorists in a lawsuit. The attorneys can then petition the Justice Department to release the name wider. The move to disclose the name came a day after the 18th anniversary of the attack, which left 3,000 men and women dead. The disclosure came under President Trump is especially striking, given the administration's efforts to maintain close relations with the powerful Saudi Arabia ally. So it was Attorney General William Barr that made the final decision. While the Saudis have continually denied any government involvement in the attacks, their role has been subject to has been a subject of dispute in Washington. 15 of the 19 Al Qaeda terrorists who hijacked the 4 planes were Saudi nationals, and so we invaded Iraq for no reason whatsoever. The 9/11 Commission, established by Congress, said in 2004 that it found no evidence that the Saudi government, as an institution, you know, but just a ton of their people were involved.
So that is in our weekly roundup. We did just mourn the loss of 3,000 individuals on 9/11.
Remembering 9/11, yeah.
And I want to say this, and I want to say this very correctly so as to not be taken off of YouTube. But as I watched my Facebook feed that day of the We Will Never Forget, my heart hurt because I feel like there are people to blame for this
that are not held
that are not being held accountable.
Exactly.
And the entire American people they have been hoodwinked into believing that the Saudi Arabian government, or not government, or people, or these terrorists, whatever, are solely responsible for this, when I believe that they were hired hands, and it was definitely a inside job.
Yeah. So yeah, there is, and who set up the explosives? We don't know. We need more information.
Yeah, but you can't even say that they were explosives without getting your stuff taken off.
That's true.
It was just an airplane that cut through, you know, the largest steel that you can imagine. A wing of an airplane cut through steel, like a knife.
And then demolition.
It looks just like a perfect demolition.
And then Building 7 just randomly goes down
because it got scared.
Because it got scared.
So yeah, I mean, it looks like, literally when you watch the buildings collapse, they go boom, 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 just like controlled demolition. But you and we are only allowed to say it was definitely only airplanes.
Right.
That caused that to happen.
Exactly.
So as far as you're concerned and we are concerned, dang, strong airplanes.
So here we have Horowitz, who has been the IG report out on all the FISA abuse and all this stuff. So Horowitz is finalizing the Russia FISA abuse report, and it sends letter to senior lawmakers. Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz is finalizing his report on the investigation into the FBI's handling of the President Trump's 2016 campaign and the Russia probe. A draft of the report has been delivered to the DOJ and the FBI. Hurwitz informed the chairman of several House and Senate committees that his team has reviewed over 1 million records and conducted over 100 interviews. We have now begun the process of finalizing a report by providing a draft of our factual findings to the department and the FBI for classification, determination, and markings. And once we receive the marked document back from the FBI and the department, we will then proceed with our usual process for preparing final draft to be made public and the classified reports. The DOJ is also expected to declassify the documents related to the FISA, the FISA warrant and the FBI that the FBI obtained on short-term Trump campaign volunteer Carter Page. So a lot of this stuff is coming out. Senator Lindsey Graham, who is expected to advise Attorney General William Barr on the rollout of the classified documents, told Fox News he wants the public to see the process in real time. I want the FISA warrant application to be revealed to the public as much as possible. What we do know from the Horowitz report regarding Comey, he basically was accused of manipulating the system, ignoring rules and procedures that are in place regarding memos owned by the government to get an outcome. Comey wanted a special counsel appointed. He manipulated the system to get the outcome.
And isn't it amazing that General Flynn misremembered one thing and he's looking at jail time, and Comey literally broke the law and did so many nefarious things within the FBI. So apparently the message that is being sent is, if you are on the inside, I want to call the FBI the company. I know the CIA is the company. I don't know what the FBI is. But if you're inside the FBI, if you ever had a connection with them, your mistakes, if you want to even call them just mistakes, are totally acceptable because you were in the FBI. But if you're a general in our military, one little misremembering can put you in jail and cause you to lose everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So righteousness for me, but not for thee.
So Trump paid for this sign to be flown over top of the debate arena or whatever. It says, socialism will kill Houston's economy. Vote Trump 20.
That's fantastic. That's great. I think it's awesome. So Trump paid for that?
It's a Trump campaign thing, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yep.
Socialism does kill economies. I mean, the economy falls flat. The economy is non-existent. You have modern monetary theory. It's the only thing that holds up, anything. All right, so
I'm moving on. I'm trying to find more. More of my from last night. Let's see.
Oh, the Democrat debate. So while you're looking for that, I want to give you my thoughts while I watched it. Not only were they all trying to be comedians, but just even watching the commentators in and out of the commercial breaks and so on and so forth. I just sensed this happy-go-lucky bunch. Everybody is, they're starting to be excited about their little platform. I think they are under a delusion. And you could sense from Pete Buttigieg, when there was one time where he said something that, and I turned to you and I said, listen, you can just tell that they've all been coached on, this is all for the team. You know, you're probably not going to be president, but you might. But we're all working together for the best candidate.
Oh, Kamala Harris looked at Beto and said, he's from El Paso, and, oh, Beto, bless your heart.
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
They kept thanking Pete for his service in the military. I mean, they joined together like it's just the Democrat debate club. And that's why Tulsi wasn't allowed to be there. It's probably why Maryann Williamson is not allowed to be there. Do you want to are you going to tell them about her hot mic?
Yeah, I'll get to it. This is Tucker Carlson. I almost never get mad. I'm mad. How dare you tell somebody to look into a screen and say you don't need that weapon, but I do. He was talking about, he interviewed Mayor Bill de Blasio, who has armed guards at his home and wherever he goes. And Mayor Bill de Blasio says, well, I'm in the public life, but so I need weapons surrounding me.
Right.
I almost never get mad. I am mad. How dare someone look into a screen and say, you don't need that weapon, but I do? Because where do they get off saying that?
Washington is a city surrounded on all sides by reality, and lawmakers in Washington too often believe that their unique vulnerabilities, their unique circumstances are subject to special treatment because, frankly, look, we've all got staffs who walk around and tell us how smart and funny and handsome we are. It's ludicrous. I mean, the lifestyle around here, and frankly, if half of the members of Congress had to go hog hunting, they'd want an AR-15 to make sure they had a successful hunt.
I almost never get...
Funny. That's so
Oh
funny.
my gosh.
Let's see.
It's nice to see sound-minded politicians, like having Matt Gaetz on there, even though Lee and I joked that he looks ridiculously like a Ken doll. Like, not in like a good way, like, oh, that's so great. I mean, I'm not saying it's just hard to look at him with his perfect teeth and his perfect face. It's difficult, but I do really like him. I think he's great.
Yeah, I do too. So this is a clip, I guess, I hopefully won't get cut off for this. Alex Jones and attorney Robert Barnes discussed the significance of the DOJ green-lighting the indictment of former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. So Andrew McCabe, from what I understand, his lawyers went to the DOJ again and again and again and was like, are you sure you don't want to drop the charges? Are you sure you don't really want to drop the charges? I mean, like, because you really do. Like, you really, really do. Let me see. Let me get this here. The Justice Department on Thursday notified attorneys for former FBI Director Andrew McCabe that his appeal to avoid criminal prosecution has been rejected. The decision comes roughly a month after McCabe filed a wrongful termination lawsuit because he was trying to cheat. Like, when somebody sues you, you're supposed to, sue back, and even though you know you're in the wrong. Because so his idea was like, well, I'll just sue for wrongful termination. Well, obviously you broke the rules and you broke the law. So same thing with Comey. He really broke all the rules and the law. And I don't want you guys to give up on Comey. There are more things coming out against Comey that are stronger and more likely to end up in a prison.
I mean, come on. Now, first of all, though, yes, you're right, and I believe that we will see Comey behind bars because he's a real easy patsy. He's not anybody of anybody. They don't care about him. So it's going to be far easier for them to throw him under the bus. The reason why they haven't thrown him under the bus is because they will have to Clinton him. Because if they don't Clinton him, then he will then turn and reveal all of their
I honestly think
ties.
that McCabe is even more needing to be Clintoned. Because I think it was under Clinton's direction that McCabe started the whole Russia investigation and all these things. Yeah. I don't think that this was something that... So we're reading The Treasonous Cabal by Barry Jones.
Yeah, it's so great.
And I'm putting all these things together. Lyndon Johnson should never have even been a senator because he won by 89 votes in Texas because there was a special count in the 13th precinct, and the guy behind the count there came back later on his deathbed and said, we ran that whole county, the judges, everybody looked the other way. Right. I signed off on 200 alphabetical names from A to Z that would go to Johnson, and I guess his boss, who was connected to, oil tycoons or whoever, told him, make sure that these all go in our precinct. Yeah. Over to Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson wasn't even supposed to be Kennedy's pick. It was a really rough, Democrat debate, nothing like this, primary. And Kennedy was reaching out in Olive Branch. Just all these crazy things. And then you see the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover working with Lyndon Johnson.
And then we get the mafia involved,
and you've got everybody involved in everything. And so I don't trust the CIA, the FBI, as far as I can throw them.
The CIA and the FBI have had ties with the mob and the mafia from the word go. They are inextricably tied with the mob and the mafia.
And it's not even maybe it's not the mob and the mafia now. It's somebody with money today. Right. That's what they do. So anyways, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia informed McCabe's legal team last month the charges against McCabe were being recommended. McCabe and his legal team met with Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen and the U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu on August 21st to appeal the recommendation. McCabe's lawyers still have the right to request a meeting with Barr over the matter. what about Flynn? The 51-year-old McCabe was fired. DOJ was fired. DOJ Inspector General Horowitz issued a criminal referral based on findings that he made an unauthorized disclosure to the news media and lacked candor, including under oath. He lied, as they called it, on multiple occasions, and that the leak was not in the public interest. It was literally for his own interest. So let's see. They noted last month when he filed the lawsuit, McCabe authorized an FBI spokesman and attorney to tell Delvin Barrett of the Wall Street Journal just days before the 2016 election that the FBI had not put the brakes on a separate investigation into the Clinton Foundation at the time when McCabe was coming under fire for his wife taking a $460,000. It was actually, I think it was $600,000 campaign donation, and he lied about it to the Inspector General 4 times.
You know, it's really interesting to me because you know how, like, I
and
think...
then he says Comey knew about the leak.
I don't have a problem kind of confessing, you know, if you try to, like, kind of skirt the law when the law is stupid, like, let's say you have, like, a neighborhood law that your bushes have to be trimmed or something like that, specifically, or whatever. Okay, something really, really petty like that. And everybody does it, and everybody knows about it. Yeah, you can't keep chickens or whatever. And you just kind of go against the law, and you want your people that you like and your neighbors and friends to kind of back you and support you. And it's just kind of this unwritten rule. It's a stupid law. We're not gonna, and I'm gonna be taken away in the paddy wagon for this. But what I see happening in the FBI and the CIA is they all believe that they are above the law. And they all work together, and they all, like, have this band of brothers in, it doesn't matter if we lied. We are above it. We're right. It doesn't, and so I think that they get lost in this fantasy land of we're above the law. They literally believe, because they are the CIA and the FBI, that laws do not apply to them. Right. And then when the laws start to apply to them, they start bucking the system like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be exempt from this. I'm immune. And it's just not true. And I think we're going to see some of these people having a flash of reality.
Exactly. The breaking news today is that U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu has chosen and decided already, has made the referral, and the referral has been approved and authorized to indict Andrew McCabe, the former director of the FBI, the former deputy director of the FBI, the key decision maker in the Clinton email case, the Clinton Foundation case, the orchestrator of the Spygate and coup attempts against the President of the United States. Andrew McCabe will be indicted by the Department of Justice for his crimes against the President of the United States and on behalf of the Clinton family.
And against the voters of this country and our electoral system and our republic, and this aura of invincibility, of infallibility of the Clinton crime machine and the Obama crime machine will then evaporate, and you'll start seeing many others turn state evidence very, very quickly. This is a giant moment for the republic. This is approaching the level of when the British sued for peace 240 years ago. This is so massive, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to see major counterstrikes, though. I suspect if they're ever going to try to kill Trump or ever try to stage a big terror attack or something, this is when the deep state is about to fire all barrels. What about Arkansas? What about his family getting life insurance on him? I mean, I think this guy has as much longevity and a shelf life of Jeffrey Epstein.
First of all, if you're an insurance company, would you give life insurance right now to Andrew McCabe without some special exceptions for unusual and unexplained deaths? It will insure you as long as your death can be fully and completely explained. But any unexplained death, sorry, no insurance for that. No sudden, weird ways of
car wrecks.
Yeah, no car wrecks. No weird way. No sudden unexplained heart attack.
No falling downstairs.
Yeah, exactly. None of that. No committing suicide while you're temporarily in federal custody under a video camera. Nothing like that. So, I mean, you're talking to a guy who knows everything about Peter Strzok, knows everything about everybody and
had access to all the panopticonic big tech surveillance grids and everything else. Another stuffed suit, another white shoe boy about to burn because he.
So, while we're listening to Alex Jones, I want to take a moment to show you guys Bitchute, and where you can find you can go to InfoWars and watch it. But if you want to watch Alex Jones back, if you want to watch us. And we're off of YouTube. We're on Bitchute as well. I go to this guy, Ron Gibson. He
used to be on YouTube. You'd always find all of Alex's
videos.
videos.
He does commercial-free Alex Jones hour by hour, which makes it. He breaks it down on each topic so that we can find out what's going on, and it's very helpful. I was listening today while I was making my hog feed outside and moving some boards around because we actually do life around here. And I think we were on I think I was on the third hour. And by the way, Alex, he made a plea yesterday. I guess he's got a lot of product, but if he sells it out, he's not sure how he's going to fund the operation. I know we don't really talk about donations for us and everything like that. We're small fries, and we can just come and do this on our spare time.
Right.
But people at InfoWars, that is their full-time job to make that happen. And as he says here, they were talking about the coup against Trump 3 years ago. And if it wasn't for Alex Jones, Trump would have just been sunk by now already.
Right.
He kept everybody positive and on a positive note. I know even Patriot Gallery sometimes thinking that Alex gets a little too negative and he goes on tangents. But, I mean, he's got to fill 4 hours, 6 days a week he does this show. So, yeah, sometimes you go on rants. I mean, I can't imagine, like, we talk a lot, but I can't imagine going on and on for 4 hours.
No.
It's just crazy. But
so when you say they're gonna sell out of their product because they don't have the company to renew,
no, I guess just I don't know if he has the money again after that to buy new product to sell the product.
Okay, sure.
So I want you to support InfoWars.
Yeah,
go buy their products. They're making a new shirt.
Waging war on.
I don't want to play that because then they might get us. But I wanted to. Get to where he was. I want to see if I wanted. He had played some clips here on McCabe, and I want to see if I can find them real quick. Bitchute does not go as quick as YouTube. I think he might be still on the abortion kick. He's been on all abortion like the last 2.
Good, because it's really
days.
important. Speaking of abortion, Eric Mathis, I don't know if he's still watching right now, but say a prayer for him because on I think Wednesday he's going to be speaking at his church. And he's going to talk about the connection between what we're seeing with abortion right now and historically, biblically speaking, the pagan societies that have sacrificed their children to the gods of Baal and Molech and so on and so forth. And I'm hoping with Eric's permission that after he does that, I'll do a show where we'll watch it together. So I'm really looking forward to that. So say a prayer for him that it goes really well. But it's a hot topic. What is happening right now is we have murder. This isn't even, we try to liken it to slavery, but it's beyond slavery because we are literally killing, we are killing thousands and thousands. But I want to give you some good news. Ohio shut down 2 more abortion clinics because there's a lack of demand. And so with all of the movies that have been being put out, we've got, I want to say Lila Rose. What's her name? Abby Johnson's Unplanned. And we've got, what was the other one about the guy that Superman did? Hermit Gosnell.
Yeah.
Gosnell. What was the movie's just called Gosnell, right?
Yeah.
And we're seeing the message is working. It's getting out there, a message of hope, and so many other crisis pregnancy centers are popping up to fill the void of, most women don't want to kill their child. Yeah. They feel lost. They don't have answers. They just need help.
Right.
They don't need murder to be compounded to what they're going through. And I'm really excited to see that we're having a shift in society. And I think it goes hand in hand with the shift of going back to farming, back to organic, back to towards even not Christianity so much, which that's happening as well, but just a better way of living, a cleaner way of living. We don't have to murder.
Right.
Our most innocent among us. We don't. So I want you guys to be very excited and hopeful and keep praying. And so if Alex is talking about abortion and trying to get it out there, more power to him, because that's one of the most, it is the most atrocious, horrific thing that's happened in our lifetime.
So I was on my wrong feed. So I was like, where's what I'm looking for? Okay. So Flynn right now, motion to compel Brady material unsealed. Flynn took polygraph in 2016 and passed. Flynn could get out of this thing.
I'm so praying for that.
His new attorney, Sidney Powell, is not going to. I could play some of the other people's analysis, but I watched their analysis, so I'm going to tell you the analysis. Flynn went before the judge this week. Mm-hmm. And the judge was actually, from what I understand, compassionate and sympathetic to Flynn's cause. Now, that he after hearing a lot from the defense attorney Sidney Powell, he kept asking him, "Why do you want to change your plea? Do you want to change your plea to not guilty? Because it's shown that he did not lie to the FBI."
Thank you, Jesus.
Okay.
Is he going to change it?
No, and here's why.
Okay.
You look like you're confused. You're not confused because the reason Sidney Powell was bringing up all these other things that supposedly they would charge him with. He took a plea agreement.
Okay.
He took a plea agreement to the least charge. Now, they were saying that they could try him almost for treason. Well, treason would be life imprisonment or, death. You know what I mean? So, exactly. I'll take the light sentence as my fallback for lying to the FBI.
Right.
Versus if he doesn't take his plea, then they can go after his family. They can go after everything. And so it's his insurance policy.
Sure.
And he knows he didn't lie. And the judge knows he didn't lie. Okay? So where is all this going, basically? So former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's defense attorney filed a motion Wednesday to compel the government to turn over a trove of documents, recordings, internal texts, emails, and notes that the defense believes will vindicate Flynn, while at the same time revealing the egregious behavior of the government prosecutors. Defense attorney Sidney Powell filed the motion unsealed to the U.S. District Court Judge Emmett Sullivan on Wednesday. The motion was originally filed on August 30th and is requesting that the court compel the government to deliver the Brady material. Brady material is pursuant to Brady material is if you have exculpatory evidence against the person that you're trying to indict or prosecute, you have to give them exculpatory evidence
so that they have a chance to mount their own defense.
Exactly, and that's a law. Okay. The motion also reveals that Flynn took a polygraph in 2016, passed the exam, and has a security clearance renewed, despite former Director of National Intelligence and National Intelligence James Clapper's refusal to assist in the investigation or renewal process for Flynn's clearance, Powell said. It occurred at roughly the same time the government was continuing to investigate him. It also reveals that he had briefed the Defense Intelligence Agency prior to meeting with Turkish and Russian officials. That was another thing that they were trying to get him on. Okay, he'd actually told intelligence, I'm meeting with these officials. However, the prosecutors are still hiding all the exculpatory evidence, which shows the details of his workings with the DIA prior to his meetings with any foreign contacts. Flynn, who was previously director of the DIA, had briefed his former agency since he resigned in 2014. Yet again, in the status report filed today, the prosecutors exude arrogance in their flat denials of both our requests for security clearances and the production of Brady material, argued Powell in her motion. Production of obvious Brady material while repeatedly and stoutly denying any such material exists. Now, this is Flynn saying, hey, I had a security clearance. Hey, I passed that polygraph. And his lawyer's like, well, I need proof of that. Yeah. Like, I need proof of that to mount your defense. And so she's going to the FBI. Like, I need this proof. And they're like, doesn't exist. Wow. Right? So this is the stonewalling that's happening. Like, these guys in the FBI right now are total, complete Hoover crooks, right? So production of obvious Brady material while repeatedly and stoutly denying any material such exists prompts questions of how much more is still outstanding and whether these prosecutors are willing or able to recognize it when they see it. The only alternative explanation is even worse. Powell's motion to compel the production of Brady material and for an order to show cause also reveals insight into Flynn's case and what the retired Army general has endured over the past several years during the special counsel's investigation. According to Powell's motion, prosecutors who early contended there was no Brady material ended up producing last week an additional 330 pages that included information that any reasonable attorney would understand as Brady evidence in light of special counsel's investigation and assertions that Mr. Flynn was an undisclosed agent of Russia or an agent of Turkey. That's what they're also trying to get him on, right?
Right.
Those are the things that they're like, oh, well, we'll just pass those charges over. You plead to this that you know you didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
That production also shows that Mr. Flynn passed his polygraph test in 2016 and his security clearance was renewed. This was at the same time the FBI seems to have been investigating him under the pretext that he was an agent of Russia or of Turkey. Interestingly, the new production also shows that James Clapper refused. We talked about that. Powell revealed in court Tuesday the existence of Justice Department memo from January 30th, 2017 that she says exonerates Flynn of any collusion with Russia. The memo, which has still not been made available to Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, is part of a litany of Brady material she is demanding from the prosecutors. The memo is currently under protective order, and Powell is working with prosecutors to get it disclosed. Sullivan sent a tentative December 18th sentencing so the judge set a tentative date of December 18th for Flynn. He told the prosecution and the defense that the sentencing date could be moved depending on the outcomes of requests for Brady material requested by Powell. Flynn doesn't want to go to a jury trial, and that would be if he doesn't take a plea, then he's going to a trial. That could be really long. And then here is the list of Brady material requested by Powell. A letter delivered by the British Embassy to the incoming National Security Team after Donald Trump's election and the outgoing National Security Advisor Susan Rice. And there's a lot here. This is from Sarah Carter, so I'm not going to read it all, but so what Sidney Powell is hoping is that through all of this, that it gets dismissed. And best case scenario, this is what I am praying for, is that Flynn is exonerated.
Yes.
Shown to have been set up.
Yes.
And becomes National Security Advisor or some other position within the Trump administration.
Yes. You know, Trump really liked Flynn. He really liked Flynn. Flynn was one of the only guys in there that was going to be able to help him.
So, this week, Trump was going to meet with the Taliban at Camp David, and that fell apart because everybody was like, oh my gosh, you can't have the Taliban over. Trump wants to get us out of Afghanistan right now. And while I do believe that might have been a move too far, I do believe that you can just leave Afghanistan without actually meeting and having any deal with the Taliban.
Right.
They're just the Taliban. The Taliban.
Do you have to say it like that?
Yeah, they're the Taliban.
It's not Taliban. It's Taliban. Like you're gonna say
they are the child molesting, crazy people
who
they
are
I
really
absolutely abhor, and they are evil. So Trump has made a lot of missteps, I believe, national security wise, because he has not had the right people in his place. And I think that General Flynn was like the only guy he had. He had a few guys in there that were doing right. You know, he had Bannon, he had Sebastian Gorka, and he had Flynn.
Right.
And they're all left. Well, Trump got rid of Bannon, and then Gorka was their kind of lone sitting duck, and then all these swamp rats were surrounding around Trump, and it was just a mess, and it is a mess, and it was a mess, and you know, it's kind of it's Trump's having to run his own show now because there's nobody in Washington that is decent, you know, and Flynn was one of those guys. And I say in Washington, I mean people. If you have been a general, then you served under Bush, and you served under Clinton, and you served under Obama, okay? And most likely, you were part of the invasion of Iraq. Mm-hmm. Most likely, you were part of the war in Afghanistan. And most likely, you were part of a lot of coups that went on around the world. Now, the question is do you see the error in those ways like Flynn did? And I'm not saying that our military only goes by... there is that. Alyssa Milano sat down for a debate with Ted Cruz on guns. It was stupid. I'm not even going to go over it, but she did reveal that she has 2 guns in her home for self-defense. A little bit of a hypocrite there. Can we say hypocrite? Let's see. This week, there was a big win, Republican win, where Dan Bishop was down by like 15, 16 points. Donald Trump went and held a rally in North Carolina, and this guy, Bishop, held on to a GOP seat that was looking like it was going to go Democrat.
And Trump is like so proud of it. Like he's like tooting his own horn. I went and rallied, and
there was
we
a
had
second
win.
seat too that there was voted on. They both stayed Republican. So that was. I'll do that on Sunday.
We're also probably going to talk about Tommy on Sunday. He was released from Belmarsh Prison.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
Britt Baza keeps trying to get me to talk about that. We're not going to talk about it today, but we will talk about it on Sunday.
Right. California. California and Alabama are the only 2 states that aren't participating in the giant. They're going after Google. 48 of our states are going after Google. 2 of those states are California and Alabama are not. The attorney generals of those 2 states didn't offer much explanation. Let's see, where am I at? So the other ones announced Monday they are investigating Google's advertising practices and whether the search giant has harmed competitors. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is leading the joint inquiry. So we'll see what happens there. But Dr. Robert Epstein says, know why California's Attorney General didn't join the other 50 AGs who just launched an antitrust action against Google? Because California Attorney General has accepted significant campaign contributions from Google, which is headquartered in his state. So, of course, he's not going to go after his very
Okay, so, all right. So, earlier you said it may not be the mob or the mafia anymore. I'll tell you who's replaced the mob and the mafia are these big tech giants in bed with politicians to shift and sway the country. So, I want to address something in the chat really quickly. Everybody's talking about where they can find out information on 9/11 and what happened to Building 7. If you can find the information, and you actually can find it,
I don't even know if it's still YouTube
on our. You can.
Whoa.
You can find Richard Gage on our personal page. It's Richard Gage. Richard Gage is one of the top minds on what happens. I think he's an architect, and we had the honor of listening to and interviewing him at the Red Pill Expo in 2000 and was it 16 or 17 that we went there? 16. And
17.
So anyway, regardless, you can just go to our videos and put in Richard Gage and the speak that he gave at the Red Pill Expo. It's not a very good camera shot, but you can listen to it.
So you still can find him if you Google his
Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth.
You can still find these videos, but they are not.
There are hundreds and hundreds of architects and engineers that have gotten behind questioning what happened on 9/11.
But the craziness of this is that there are millions. They have millions of views, and you're going to see. It's very difficult to Google these things now.
Richard Gage Building 7 is what you put in, and you got a lot of information there. So that's what I would start with, you guys. Richard Gage Building 7, and just go from there.
But it will not autofill, even though people are looking for them.
So you can get lost watching those videos.
Yeah, but you can't now because you can't. They don't autoplay
afterwards, right?
All right, so Senator Warren, as all of them, want to turn Social Security into straight up socialism. So this is from the debate last night. Let's see. Social Security will become insolvent by 2035. Republicans actually don't seem to care, but Democrats, in contrast, want to turn the situation from dreadful to disaster. They propose not only to expand the program, but to turn it from a retirement insurance program to straight up socialism.
It
Elizabeth
already
Warren has a plan for that.
No money. It already can't give out what it's giving out, and yet we're going to give out more to more people. Carry on.
So the current calculus driving Social Security's acceleration towards insolvency is simple. Its outlays exceed its payroll tax revenues. Social Security has always been structured like a Ponzi scheme, a generational wealth transfer that eventually pays back those paying into taxes into the system with retirement benefits many years later. The payout per recipient varies roughly according to the average 35-year lifetime earnings, meaning that in theory, Social Security is somewhat proportionally scaled to ensure that those who pay more into the system receive slightly more in return during retirement. It's always been a form of retirement insurance, not a retirement investment, and certainly not a means to reduce income inequality. So if politicians refuse to issue a buyout to millennials and slowly phase out the program, there are three general ways to kind of just make it okay. Increase revenue with new or higher payroll taxes, delay the retirement age, or reduce retirement payments. Some plans, such as the Sustainable One from the Nonpartisan Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, blend a number of these methods. And now Elizabeth Warren blows them all out of the water. Her plan would increase benefits by $200 per month, grant a credit towards caregivers who could potentially not have contributed a single cent into the system and thus blow up the proportionality participant of the program, and finance it with a new 14.8% payroll tax on workers earning more than $250,000 and a 14.8% tax on investment income for the top 2% earners. Two things. One, Warren's solution to a program that's bleeding money is to increase spending and claim that simply taxing the rich will make it sustainably solvent. And so in that, I want to play for you this John Stossel.
While you're looking that up, so here are my thoughts on Social Security and getting rid of it at this point. I think societally, yes, we need to do it, but societally, we need to look at what will happen or would happen if we did get rid of Social Security, because prior to Social Security, the family unit was really strong. And so when elderly people got older, they had family that would take care of them. But what we have done with not just the public school system, but society in general, is we have ripped children from their parents at a very young age. The bond is no longer there. And so as their parents age, they don't want to take care of them. They don't want to have their parents as a financial responsibility. And so even if you got rid of Social Security, and I'm not even talking about medical insurance, because I think young people would just balk at having to insure their elderly parents, right? I'm just talking about the actual money. We don't have the society in place right now that would be able to handle that. I think people would literally lose their mind. And that's why it's really important to go back to individually. If you can't fix society, fix your family. Start right now. Pull your kids from the public school system. Create a bond with them. Teach them about Jesus Christ. Go watch the movie Monumental by Kirk Cameron and find out how our Pilgrim Founding Fathers did it. Do a suburban farm. Unite your family. Create a core unit so that when you are older, your child isn't so disconnected that they don't want to take care of you. And if you have already raised your children, try to mend that relationship and pray for them. And that's really the only answer. You need to do it starting right now, because Social Security is not going to always be there. And I think everybody takes for granted. And guess what? Even if it is there, if we have an economic collapse, $1,000 a month is going to get you nothing.
So I was trying to get the percentage of the people on family farms in the 30s. It says about 32% were on family farms. And why is that important? Because when we're talking about Social Security, this was a time before such daily bills as television, electricity,
cell phones,
even gasoline and cell phones. We're talking about you can't just like randomly say, hey, your family used to take care of you, so now your family takes care of you. Because Social Security isn't about, it's not really about caretaking. It's about meeting those daily needs.
Yeah.
And what FDR did in pushing through his New Deal was get people to transition. If you watch the Waltons, you'll see it from, they had like one plug and they had one light and then, so transition to this new thing called electricity, and like the older generation didn't like the New Deal, didn't want to be sent random money out of nowhere, and then you become dependent upon it. Like this whole Andrew Yang thing, $1,000 is a drop in a bucket. You can spend that on an iPhone. If you start giving people $1,000 a month, that is not going to help people. It's just gonna go right.
They're gonna waste it.
They're just gonna right through their fingers, especially if you didn't earn it. But we need real Social Security. Is you know where your food is coming from. But when you have to go to the grocery store, you don't have Social Security. If you have to pay that electricity bill, you're not secure. Okay? And that's why a lot of retirees are not secure. And you can bring older people into your home, but then you're still paying for electricity and things like that. Whereas before, if you're a retiree in 1930, you probably have everything you have is paid for, and it produces something, and you have a farm, and like you're farming still until the day you die. You're growing your own food. You're putting things up. You're raising a couple hogs. You're making lard. You're using lard candles. You're and then you do need cash money for staples and things like that. But it was just a totally different world, and we're not sustainable. And so it's just bleeding money. And I was outside thinking to myself, if I'm running for president, and healthcare should not bankrupt you. And Bernie Sanders is right about that. If you go to the hospital and you break your ankle, or I remember, Michelle broke her ankle and it was paid on because it was you got operated in the wrong hospital. So it wasn't in the insurance network, and Dad was all upset, and he had to, pay on that forever, blah, blah, blah. We take our dogs to the vet because there's a lot of vets, because anybody can become a vet. The number one thing we have to do if you want to solve, people do need to go to the doctors, but insurance isn't healthcare. We talk about this all the time. The number one thing I'm going to do as president is anybody who's qualified to become a doctor, qualified to become a doctor.
We're not going to limit the number of people that can become doctors per year.
Limit the incentives for these pharmaceutical companies. Here, if I'm going to be in charge of the government, okay, and we need to educate kids, and it's a difference between the government or the pharmaceutical companies having colleges, medical colleges. It would be better off for the government to fund people through medical college, everybody who can, and then say, go be a doctor. And then flood the market with doctors. Flood it. And naturopaths and homeopaths and encourage, all the different things. So I would have a whole write-up.
I like it. Leah for president.
All right. So are you ready for this?
Nope.
This is from the last Democrat debate, I believe. But this is from John Stossel. Says, will this night's debate be more free stuff 2020? And he does even mention Donald Trump here.
Will the candidate win the White House by offering us the most free stuff?
Collect up to $500 a month.
Never before have so many promised to spend so much.
We need to go tenfold.
We took care of the military like it's never been taken care of before.
We have got to pass a Medicare for all single-payer system.
How can you even keep track of their proposed spending?
$400 million in new science and technology.
No one I know has even tried to track their promises. So we did. Here's the tally. We added up each candidate's proposed spending. We limit our count to the top 5 in the election bidding. We break it down issue by issue, starting with education.
Triple the amount of money we spend for Title I schools.
Joe Biden's off to a fast start.
Universal pre-K. Free community college.
Plus, he doubled the number of psychologists, counselors, and social workers in schools. $78 billion total. But that's much less than what Kamala Harris would spend.
Giving the American family all that they need.
Harris would also make community college free, but she'd add on 4-year public college and increase government's investment in child care dramatically, and give the average public school teacher a $13,000 raise. Her total more than doubles Biden's.
Free college for low and middle income students.
Mayor Buttigieg rarely says what his plans would cost, but he at least proposes less than Harris.
You ought to be able to refinance your student debt.
He also wants the feds to give teachers more money. Assuming his plans like Harris's, that's a total of $87 billion.
We can make it work for everyone.
Elizabeth Warren would spend much more.
You'll be debt-free.
Some students will be, that is, but you'll be deeper in debt if Warren gets her way. She would forgive most existing student debt, make public colleges tuition-free, and she wants a universal child care and early learning act. She's in first place so far.
Eliminate student debt.
But Bernie Sanders would spend even more. He'd forgive all student debt.
We must make public colleges and universities tuition free.
We're up to $220 billion per year. But Sanders also wants universal daycare and pre-kindergarten. So Sanders wins in education spending. As the only self-described socialist in the race, I assumed he'd win most categories. But I was wrong. He's got plenty of competition. Let's look at health care.
You cannot let people who are sick, no matter where they come from, no matter what their status, go uncovered.
Joe Biden would spend $49 billion to have the government provide a public option like Medicare. Buttigieg has the same plan.
I would call it Medicare for all who want it.
All the Democrats also want to give Medicare to people who came here illegally.
We have got to pass a Medicare for all single-payer system.
Bernie's plan would cost even more.
Under our plan, people go to any doctor they want, any hospital they want.
Sanders says it would cost 30 to 40 trillion over the next 10 years. 3 trillion per year.
I'm with Bernie on Medicare for all. Medicare for all.
So these three lead in healthcare spending, but something isn't clear.
Who here would abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan? All right.
The three biggest spenders also support banning private insurance, unless they don't. Harris co-sponsored Sanders' bill, which bans it. But then in The View, she said she would not ban private insurance.
And private insurance also, because that's what I have. Supplemental private insurance. Yes.
Then in the debates, she raised her hand to say she would. After the debate, she again said she would not.
I support the Green New Deal.
And how much will they spend on climate change?
I support a Green New Deal.
All the candidates, except Biden, say they support AOC's Green New Deal so they can pretend to be doing something about climate change. Republicans say Green New Deal would cost $93 trillion. But we'll go with the lowest estimate we could find. An economist who likes the idea claims it'll cost $500 billion a year.
New science and technology.
Biden would spend less, but still a lot.
I would immediately insist that we, in fact, build 500,000 recharging stations.
Some candidates would spend almost as much increasing welfare benefits.
For every family that is making less than $100,000 a year, they will receive a tax credit that they can collect up to $500 a month.
In addition to a tax credit, Harris also would have the government pay your rent if it's more than 30% of your income. And she'd increase food stamps for kids. Warren would do that too. And make an historic investment in housing. Buttigieg wants affordable housing, but gave no specifics. I'll assume his plan's like Warren's. Senator Sanders wants to increase food stamps, expand Social Security benefits, and guarantee everyone a government job. So far, Joe Biden has not proposed new welfare spending. So Senator Harris wins this round easily.
Working families need support and need to be lifted up.
I've been counting up the Democrats' plans, but the incumbent hasn't been very responsible either. But Congress sent increases back, and Trump signed them. And Trump would spend even more. $200 billion for infrastructure, $8 billion for wall construction, and more NASA funding. How can we afford this? America's already $22 trillion in debt, $150,000 for every taxpayer. But at least Trump proposes less spending than the Democrats do. Finally, we added a grab bag category because 3 of our candidates have even more proposals. Harris wants to give $100 billion to redlined communities. Buttigieg wants $2 billion to expand national service. But Warren has the most planned. She'd require the government to buy American-made products.
They have to be manufactured right here in the United States of America.
She'd also expand the destructive export-import ban, give debt relief to Puerto Rico, spend more on the opioid problem, and give $2 billion a year to apprenticeship programs. Biden's not that much worse. Buttigieg would double Biden's spending increases, and Elizabeth Warren would spend 5 times more. Sanders is even worse. But even the Socialist was edged out by...
To see who can out give away free stuff. It's never realized. Obamacare was kind of the only thing that actually did
a really good
I mean recently.
Job
okay.
Making, yeah.
It's hardly ever realized. But they're just blowing smoke. It's just kind of a competition to see who can, say that they'll give away the most free stuff. It's ridiculous.
So here are the 10 most memorable quotes from each of the 10 candidates during the debate last night. Cory Booker: I'm the only person on the stage that finds Justin Trudeau's hair very menacing. Joe Biden to Bernie Sanders: for a socialist, you've got a lot more confidence in corporate America than I do. Bernie Sanders: it goes without saying that we must and will defeat Trump, the most dangerous president in the history of this country. Kamala Harris: the bottom line is this: Donald Trump in office on trade policy, he reminds me of that guy in The Wizard of Oz, when you pull back the curtain, it's really a small dude. Amy Klobuchar: what Trump has done here has assessed these tariffs on our allies. He's put us in the middle of a trade war and treating our farmers and workers like poker chips in one of his bankrupt casinos. Pete Buttigieg: well, the president clearly has no strategy. When I first got into this race, I remember President Trump scoffed and said he'd like to see me make a deal with Xi Jinping. I'd like to see him making a deal with Xi Jinping. Is it just me, or was that supposed to happen in April? Julian Castro to Joe Biden: Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in the country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not. Elizabeth Warren: I was in the United States Senate when 54 senators said, let's do background checks. Let's get rid of assault weapons. And with 54 senators, it failed because of the filibuster. Until we attack the systematic problems, we can't get gun reform in this country. Beto O'Rourke, AK-47s, and Andrew Yang, he wants to give everybody free $1,000. Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago for a socialist? And Andrew Yang's like, I'm Asian, so I know a lot of doctors.
Did he really say that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. And true.
We have literally gotten to the point where presidential candidates are trying to win votes by offering cash handouts.
Yep.
Okay,
it's sad.
Seriously,
it's really sad and hilarious, and I think almost wonderful, because now when you can, we always say this, and I say it all the time. When the devil comes at you with a pitchfork and horns, then it's a lot easier to deal with. And I said this to Eric Mathis in a message too, about abortion, and he was actually, no, it was about cannibalism. And he was talking about the California Cannibal Club. He's like, is this a real thing? And I was like, I don't know, but they are talking about it a lot. But anyway, it's good when they're finally coming. You don't have to, decide whether they are a wolf in sheep's clothing or not. They're just telling you, hey, the devil here.
So this ad was put out by a woman running for Congress whose parents were killed in Cambodia under socialism.
Wow.
And everybody's upset because they say it's racist and...
This is the face of socialism and ignorance. Does Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez know the horror of socialism? My father was minutes from death in Cambodia before a forced marriage saved his life. That's socialism. Forced obedience, starvation. Mine is a face of freedom. My skin is not white. I'm not outrageous, racist, nor socialist. I'm a Republican.
But when she says it, then it's all of a sudden racist.
Yeah, and then everybody went crazy.
On with my computer right now?
Okay, so Trump has some good news when it comes to immigration. President Trump's immigration policies, most of which have been virtually neutered by the liberal activist judges on the courts, are finally gaining some traction, thanks to a Wednesday ruling by the Supreme Court and several months of action on the part of the Mexican government. The U.S. immigration authorities have arrested 60% fewer people since May, when 130,000 people were apprehended. And while the hot weather contributed to the drop there, the Mexican government has taken serious action to stop the northward flow of immigrants. The government of Mexico has taken meaningful, unprecedented steps to help curb the flow of illegal immigration to our border. And as Politico notes, the decline in border traffic, if sustained, could amount to a major victory for Trump as he heads into the 2020 election. Perhaps more important, the experimental measures taken by his administration could reshape immigration enforcement for years to come. The far-reaching policies sparked an avalanche of court challenges, complaints from human rights organizations, and derision from opposition Democrats ahead of next year's elections. Undeterred, Trump has hammered away. Now, let's see. Wednesday's Supreme Court ruling, which overruled a California judge allowing U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents to immediately begin denying immigrants asylum at the southern border if they haven't first applied for a safe haven in a third country.
Wow.
That's huge. That would, like, pretty much everybody would be denied.
Yeah.
So if you have not applied for safe haven in a third country that you've gone through, then you can't apply for asylum here. Mm-hmm. And that's what is doing the catch and release, because people say, well, I'm applying for asylum, so they come here and they say, well, come back for your court date and we'll hear it. We'll hear your asylum case.
Right.
And they never come back.
Right. I love that.
So dissenting from Wednesday's decision was Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor. The ruling, which has temporary effect while challenges play out in lower courts, shuts out large numbers of people fleeing violence and poverty in Central America. They will now have to apply for asylum in Mexico rather than head directly to the United States.
But here's the thing. They actually won't. I think they just won't come. Once the message gets down once it's implemented, because they don't want to go to Mexico. They only want to, they're not fleeing for asylum-worthy sakes. When you need asylum, you'll go anywhere. You just want freedom, okay? And this is going to prove that they don't.
Right, exactly. Exactly. If you're in North Korea, you don't care where you go. You just want out of North Korea.
Right.
So, obviously, I see Ginsburg and Sotomayor say the change upends decades of tradition.
Tradition?
In the United States.
Wow.
But Trump, who argued the economic migrants are abusing the system, it's a big win. I had an excellent telephone conversation with Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, president of Mexico, talking about southern border security and various other things of mutual interest. The southern border is becoming very strong despite the obstruction by the Democrats.
Well, and it is worth noting, and you hit on this very briefly, but with the tariffs that Trump put on Mexico, telling them, listen, if you do not stop these people from pouring into our country, it's going to keep costing you more and more and more. They took that threat seriously.
The Supreme Court also backed Trump's efforts to ship billions in Pentagon funds to pay for the refurbishment or new construction of southern border wall sections, allowing the president to avoid a debate amongst a divided Congress. Let's see, here's Trump tweeted this out September 11th. The wall is going up very fast. The first time he actually tweeted
I
out
still
the video.
think it's like, and we were against the wall, kind of, just like you said, because you feel claustrophobic, you want to be able to get out of here. But seriously, I think it's awesome. I think that when you ask some of these lefties and stuff like that about, no other country's ever done a wall, and you say China, and they're like, where's their wall in China? I mean, seriously, it's true that walls do work.
So here we have Maryann Williamson caught on a hot mic saying Democrats are mean.
What does it say that Fox News is nicer to me than the lefties are?
I'm sorry?
What does it say that the conservatives are nicer to me?
It's a bizarre world, man.
It's such a bizarre world. I'm such a lefty. I mean, I'm a serious lefty. But I understand why people on the right call them godless. I mean, it's like, I didn't think the left was as mean as the right. They are.
Well,
So who released that, though?
I don't know, but it's awesome.
Do you think that they had her permission to release it? Because, once the camera stops, you think that you would be allowed to say what you want without it being released to the whole world. But maybe she wanted it released.
I don't know. Let's see.
So we're going to do a mail call at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Dale Jones says that he sent us some T-shirts. We've got them. I've got them right here. in 2 packages. So we're going to open those at the end of the show, so you don't
So
miss
earlier in the show, we talked about how Beto says, "Heck yes, we're going to
take all
of your AR-15s."
Right.
But in 2018,
throughout West Texas, probably throughout Texas, you get a lot of questions on the Second Amendment. You were recently in Houston. I think it was late last week. You were in Houston, and you were talking about the AR-15, and you said that no one should be able to buy an AR-15. Should not be able to be sold to civilians here in the United States. I own an AR-15. A lot of our listeners own AR-15s. Why should they not have one?
To be clear, they should have them. If you purchase that AR-15, if you own it, keep it. Continue to use it responsibly. I think Texas has a real opportunity to lead on this issue right now because we so jealously guard that Second Amendment. We believe in it. We'll defend it. We have this proud, rich tradition of hunting, of owning guns for self-defense, for sport, for collection, as you may own that AR-15 for, just because it is fun to shoot. But we also have a really...
it's the same guy. What happened?
I don't know. It's confusing. It's head scratch worthy. I mean, seriously, like, it's not. These people, they will talk out of both sides of their mouth and they don't care when they get caught.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. These are liars. Like, if you and I say something and we have to come back later and say, you know what, I was wrong. I misspoke. This is really what I think. It's embarrassing for us, but they don't care. They don't care. Who is this guy you keep bringing up with his hair?
So this is the guy that recorded stem cell.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The stem research.
Right.
In 2017, or I think
selling the body parts for
took out the video, the selling of the body parts to
Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, pro-life activist David Daleden, whose undercover journalism provided evidence of Planned Parenthood illegally trafficking of aborted baby parts. He, instead of, it was, he's part of the Pro-Life Center for Medical Progress. And these investigators were charged with 15 felony counts of illegal taping of confidential communications in connection with undercover videos they published for exposing Planned Parenthood's trafficking of baby parts. But get this. What you don't know is that at that time, it was not then Senator Harris. It was then Attorney General Kamala Harris, who gets obvious campaign donations from Planned Parenthood.
Oh, for sure.
So she goes into meetings and gets phone calls from Planned Parenthood. And as the Attorney General, instead of going after the Planned Parenthood had trafficked in the baby parts, goes after in an unprecedented search warrant of a journalist to his home. So unprecedented that lawyers for this guy say that they have interviews of police officers who were given this search warrant to go and go into his home and get these materials. Get this. The office seized certain materials that were unreleased source materials. That is unheard of.
I think it's illegal too, though.
In a very recent, very famous case of San Francisco's Brian Carmody, a freelance journalist had his door nearly broken down and his materials seized by police. But a judge quashed that search warrant.
Hang on, I want to explain this. If you're a journalist and you have source material that you have never published, they cannot come and take your source material. That's illegal.
Right.
Okay, carry
so
on.
If his search warrant is quashed, it doesn't throw out the whole case, but the first 8 counts have to be thrown out at least. So they're going to make this argument first thing this morning, so I'm going to find out where it's at. And again, they'll ask the judge to throw out the whole thing. So we'll see. I want to see. Let me go back to LifeSite News and see if there is an update on this, because I brought this up this morning. So let me see if there's something new from
So when you expose a criminal, you have to be very, very careful, because you will become a criminal for exposing the criminal.
Yep.
You know, I mean, this is worse than not reading somebody their Miranda rights when they've, literally killed somebody right in front of you and then they get off. This is not that.
Okay. This is flashback here to something that he recorded. It shows a Planned Parenthood abortionist graphically describing how to deliver aborted babies intact so that their body parts can be harvested, saying she needs to hit the gym before committing some abortions, and explaining she pays attention to who's in the room if an aborted baby shows signs of life.
Look, I think health screenings are important. I think Planned Parenthood probably does some good work. But the reason it's a controversial place is because it's the country's biggest abortion provider, and you're one of the people who run it. And so I just want to know what you think. If you can hear the fetal heartbeat and then it's extinguished, what do you think of that? Is that a big deal or not to you? And if not, why not?
Well, I take seriously all of the healthcare work that we provide at Planned Parenthood. I believe in safe, legal abortion. I believe it's up to each woman and individual. I know, but what do you think? So I'm not going to make a judgment.
The undercover footage you are about to see includes graphic discussions with abortion providers at high-level Planned Parenthood conferences. Some viewers may find this content disturbing.
It's not a matter of how I feel about it coming out intact, but I got to worry about my staff and people's feelings about it coming out looking like a baby.
Is there any standard procedure for verifying signs of life?
Well, the thing is,
that doesn't go in a chart.
I mean, the key is you need to pay attention to who's in the room, right?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Nucatola. I'm the Senior Director of Medical Services for Planned Parenthood Federation of America.
A lot of people want intact parts these days because they're looking for specific nodes. Maybe destiny. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Good for them.
And on behalf of all of us at Planned Parenthood Federation of America and our partners at Society of Family Planning, I'd like to welcome you to the North American Forum on Family Planning, as well as the George Tiller Memorial Networking Reception. Now, networking reception. Those of you who have seen me in the last hour have seen that I basically spend this reception running around introducing people to other people, and that's exactly why this meeting was created.
Nice to meet you.
I have an abortion when they just
Wow.
We're supposed to introduce the Robert Sarkis with Biomass Procurement Services.
Oh, okay.
We do tissue collection.
Oh, sweet.
Good to meet
And
you.
they're looking for the Arizona as an area where they might
Right.
be able to
We're based out of the Los Angeles area, like Norwalk, Long Beach, that kind of area. So Devin mentioned you as well as the Planned Parenthood affiliate in Arizona, as well as good connections to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you?
It's been on my mind because I used to work at Planned Parenthood Los Angeles, and we used to have
Novogenics, I think, is the one that comes in, to do it there. Yeah. So you have experience with providing material for these purposes. Yeah.
Due to some things going on at Planned Parenthood, I get a lot of referrals from Planned Parenthood. So I used to be medical director at Planned Parenthood Arizona. That's how I ended up in Arizona.
Okay.
Because I was with Planned Parenthood Los Angeles, and also I was the head of academic position at USC. That's how I know Deb Nucatola. She trained me as a fellow. That's how I know Deb Nucatola. She trained me.
It's good to know that someone is kind of consistently going up to 20 to 24 weeks, because especially when someone wants neural tissue, they're wanting, they want fetal brain, they want both hemispheres, and for whatever reason, like the sweet spot tends to be like 18 to 22 weeks.
Okay. Well, I go up to 24 weeks. There is a practice that kind of preferentially gets the anomaly referrals.
Right, we want healthy tissue, healthy normative.
Most of the patients that come to me are elective. They present themselves.
And you go electively up to 24 weeks. Okay.
This week coming up, I have a 15-weeker on Tuesday so far. I have a 20-weeker starting on Thursday.
Obviously, some of the parameters that we're working with, then tissue needs to be pretty much, pretty intact, because the more physically traumatized it gets, the more the stem cells get kind of mashed up and aren't available for collection.
Now the thing is, I don't do induction, so like my technique is a disarticulation technique. So,
I don't want to freak you guys out, but you can check this out. This is from LifeSite News, undercover video. Basically, what the undercover video people were trying to get at is, will you have babies born alive? Will you have intact babies? Do you crush the skull and bring it out, or And it's not that they were saying that they want the tissue. It's they want to catch people who are.
Right.
They're trapping people just like you would trying to trap a child sex trafficker.
Exactly.
They were trying to entrap. I mean, it's true. But they weren't doing it in such a way that they were doing something that asking questions that other people aren't asking. These are what the other medical.
Well, but since when is it illegal to impersonate somebody and lie to them?
Exactly.
Like impersonate somebody and lie to the person that you're talking to.
So in his testimony, Daladin, the guy who produced these videos, shares devastating story conveyed by 2020 whistleblower in which twins are born alive. After failed abortion in Kansas City, babies are moving, cuddling each other. Abortion doctor drowned the babies. Story served as impetus for his undercover work. That's why he went to see how many of these babies are being born alive. So it looks like it says, lawyer demolishes DOJ's agent's investigation into pro-lifers. So, despite the judge nixing a video in which a former STEM Express technician describes seeing a beating heart in a full-term aborted baby, the 6th day of David Daladin and Sandra Merritt's criminal preliminary hearing was a great day in court, their lawyers say. It was the second time on the witness stand for Brian Cardle, the California Department of Justice special agent whose investigation of these good guys, the Center for Medical Progress, undercover journalists, led to their being charged with 15 counts of illegal taping of confidential information in connection with the videos of the baby parts. It is a great day for the defense, they said. Agent Cardle took the stand, and on cross-examination, we were finally able to expose this case for the sham that it was and the frivolous case that it is. The defense lawyers are arguing that Section 632 is clear that communications that can be... Okay, here's their defense. Communications that can reasonably be expected to be overheard are not confidential.
This wasn't stuff... He didn't go into a Planned Parenthood office building where conversations that are happening are assumed to be confidential. He was at a gathering.
They made sure. No, there were several different videos made. He made sure that when he met later on, he met in a restaurant or in a public place.
Right.
So if you're sitting there chomping on a salad with a waiter coming back and forth with drinks and you're talking about aborted baby parts, you can reasonably be overheard.
Exactly.
That is not confidential. The statute says you can't record somebody in a confidential situation. But if I am not going to talk about aborted baby parts with a waiter coming back and forth, and I don't know how they chomping on salads talking about dead babies.
But I guess I'm also still really confused about the fact that you can't even do it within...
I know journalists have always been going undercover and recording people, but California has a different statute. I believe it's a California statute. Well, because they're tired, they don't want to be investigated, exposed, right? But that section 6335 permits covert taping of confidential information if those doing so have a reasonable belief that they are investigating violent crimes. Okay, so there's two statutes there. If you're investigating violent crime.
Right.
Or if you're in a public place. Cardwell testified on Tuesday that he identified 17 possible victims among the 2,300 video files he viewed after calling out duplicates in the 50,000 files he found on the laptops, external hard drives, and thumb drives seized from Daladin's apartment. He took all the files and he found and identified 17 possible victims. Okay? And of the 14 does who can't be named under the judge's order, now accusing Daladin and Merritt of illegally taping them, 3 are from Los Angeles, 2 are from El Dorado County, and 8 are from the 2014 National Abortion Federation Convention, San Francisco. Cardwell stated in his affidavit for Daladin's arrest warrant, he realized an agent had a duty to investigate for a 3.5 defense, of investigating criminal action, violent action. Ferreira asked to play a CMP video of Holly O'Donnell, which Cardwell said he had viewed. O'Donnell was briefly on contract with STEM Express and went to Daladin to tell him of her horrifying experiences at the tissue procurement company, including seeing a heart beating in a nearly intact late-term aborted baby. But Judge Christopher Hite nixed playing the video on the grounds that O'Donnell, who was a phlebotomist, lacked the experience to tell whether the baby was alive or dead. I'm not putting it up for expertise. She says in the video, the person she was working with tapped the heart and started beating, and she saw it with her own eyes. Cardwell is supposed to be investigating the whole case. He says he saw a Holly O'Donnell video where she talks about a whole fetus with a beating heart. Haidt says he agrees the defense can put in evidence regarding what Daladin had a reasonable belief he was investigating, but you can't do it through this witness, they said.
Wow.
Ferrari also pointed out that Doe 9 went to Los Angeles Police Department to file a complaint, blah, blah, blah. Published a video of her discussing how to crush a baby in utero to harvest intact organs. So it looks like, let's see if there's a summation here. The day also included one of the most remarkable cross-examined moments, and I really feel like I wish we could get some video of this, of my career that left him flabbergasted with the rest of the courtroom. During Minette's questioning of Cardwell, we're still talking about Cardwell is, what I am assuming from this article, the lead investigator, and he actually was charged to investigate it all, not just there's crimes here, and he's supposed to be investigating the baby killing, factory. So during Minette's questioning of Cardwell, that established the agent made no effort to determine whether or not the Doe victims had an understanding of confidential communications that matched the law. Deputy Attorney General Janet Jaron objected to stating there is no definition of confidential communication, at which point the defense counsels burst out laughing, and Haidt shot them a reproachful look. Looks like so what I'm understanding here is that the Attorney General says there's no definition of confidential communication, but the statute literally says can reasonably overheard.
Sure.
And the judge shot them a look like we can all read the statute, right? We have the prosecution that is prosecuting Sandra and David asserting that they don't know that there's a statutory definition for a confidential communication. That just boggles my mind. So those were the bombshells in the case. We exposed this prosecution, the sham investigation. I don't see how after today this case can continue. The only just result is dismissal of these charges. Whether that will happen remains to be seen. So this also reminds me of what's happened, with the Bundys and things like that with the FBI.
Right.
Totally, the government can be used for evil, and it often is. And so I want you guys to keep. Let's see if. We haven't gotten that one. If Judge Ruse is valid, so we don't know if he ruled that or not. So I think we're still waiting. Maybe Tucker might have some more information on this. He's had this guy on several times. So I have no idea why that search result came up. Yes, close all tabs of Switzerland attractions. I did not Google that.
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea.
Okay, so Dale Jones sent us t-shirts, which normally we open things on air ahead of time, or excuse me, normally open things that we're going to open on air ahead of time, but these ones we didn't. So I have no idea what's in here. One is for Patriot Gallery. I haven't opened that one yet. This is for Leah and I. Let's see. I'm going to assume they're the same shirt. So.
Socialism shirts. Perfect for the show. Oh my gosh, we should have opened it and worn it. A philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, the gospel of envy.
Wow.
I will wear this shirt.
Libertarian. The shirt's by a company that says Libertarian Country. Wow.
So we have our wait, there's another, that's different.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. You're right. I thought they were the same shirt.
You can't ban these guns.
That's mine. I definitely think that one's for me. Oh my gosh, Dale, well done. Okay, so
awesome.
Let's open up Patriot Galleries here. That's Leah's. Oh, I'm sorry. You get the gun one, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Darn. Oh my goodness. Okie dokie. This one's for Patriot Gallery. I'm going to be really interested to see what Patriot Galleries, what you chose for Patriot Gallery. Oh, it's pink.
Oh,
that's perfect.
Pink.
Okay, this is great. I can already tell. Yep. This is so Patriot Gallery. Taxation is theft.
There you go. Well, shirts that have a statement to them are always good.
I want to put it up there. Mom should come and say thank you. There we go.
It's gonna fall.
No, it's not.
Okay, there we go.
It's gonna stay, and I'm gonna put mine on here too, just because. And we will be wearing these on the show and out in public, and I think awesome.
Nope, you can't ban these guns.
Nope, it's so great. All right, well done, Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jim West says pink, bit gender suggestive. Dale, okay, well, but then how come we got the black ones? So, oh my gosh, that's really, really great.
So, there's a random song that we used to sing in church. We used to sing a cappella, and it came through my head, so I'm just going to sing it. We're going to sing step by step. Okay. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways, and step by step you lead me, Lord, and I will follow you all of my days, and I will follow you all of my days, and I will follow you all of my days, and step by step you lead me, and I will follow you all of my days. Oh God, you are my God, and I will follow you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I messed that up.
Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways, and step by step you lead me, Lord, and I will follow you all of my days, and I will follow you all of my days, and I will follow you all of my days, and step by step you lead me, and I will follow you all of my days.
That's a good song. We should sing that one more often.
So the next time we bring up a song,
yeah,
Mom wants the people to see
to see what?
They're more cool ones.
These are the shirts here. These are like options.
The Mom wants the people to see the words.
Oh, for when we sing songs?
Yes.
So, these are fun. Taxation is theft. Socialism kills. Enjoy capitalism for Coca-Cola. Free speech, more important than your feelings. I love it. That's really, really awesome. 10% off with code LIBERTY at libertariancountry.com.
There you go. Take a minute and check that out.
I need to lean back for the full effect of
yes,
shirt there.
We're gonna bring it in there. There we go.
It's good. I love this one for Patriot Gallery. She's gonna look really good in that. Mom looks good in pink. What you want lyrics?
There was a song I was trying to. Well, I have it written down.
So they're talking about paganism and stuff in the chat here, and Eric quotes a scripture here. Professing themselves to be wise, they have become fools and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man and two birds and four-footed beasts creeping thing.
What is that? I only wrote down one line of it.
What?
You are the one that I adore. And I wrote it down. I thought I was going to remember it. No, I don't know how it goes. I just wrote it down. I was thinking I could find it by Googling it, but I can't.
We'll have to do
there
it for
were
next
songs
time.
playing in the background during like our life. And I tried to write them down on the board, and I don't know the name of the songs. And that was like an old song. You're the one. No, that's not it.
It's escaping me.
No, I know. It always escapes you because when you go looking for songs, nobody can think of anything.
You know what? But we just sang a song.
I know.
It's a good one.
That's what I thought about before the show. When we go at the end of the show to try to think of a song, literally.
Jesus, I adore you. That's the only one I can think of that has a door in it. Didn't we sing that one like last week?
It was around. No, we didn't.
It's
around a little more. It's a little round.
How I love you, Spirit, I adore you, and I lay my life before you. How I love you, Father, I adore you, and I lay my life before you. How I love you.
And then there's a round.
Yeah,
I was going to have you go.
I was going to go.
There you go.
Jesus, I adore you, and I lay my life before you, and I lay my life before you. Spirit, I adore you, and I lay my life before you, and I lay my life before you. Jesus, I adore you, and I lay my life before you, and I lay my life before you. How I love you.
You're getting a little creative there.
Okay, we're going to sign off. Thanks for being here. Dale, thanks for the shirts. These are fantastic. You know,
yes.
I want to see Kansas wear this one, though, actually. Like,
yes.
really, seriously.
Oh, we'll turn that into a Kansas Cowboy.
Thank you guys for watching.
That
Thank you for
would be
being
great.
here. We'll be back on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our European and UK news, where we will talk about Tommy.
Lots to cover.
We'll
Tommy
talk about
is back.
Brexit. We're going to talk about the prorogation of the government and its legality, and the Scottish courts ruling that it's not legal and yet it really being legal, and so on and so forth. So we can thank Britt Baza for a lot of links on that and explaining things.
We'll practice this on the guitar and we'll play this on Sunday.
Whose report will you believe?
Yeah, this one.
Whose report will you believe?
We shall believe the report of the Lord.
I said, whose report will you believe?
We shall believe the report of the Lord.
That's a sneak peek.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
Because we don't know the rest of the lyrics, so I heard.
If it's the truth. His report says I am healed. His report says I am filled. His report says I am free. And his report says victory.
Victory, yeah.
Yeah, you don't know the lyrics. I know them. Okay, so if you want to send us your letters, we will read what you have to say on air. P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to all of our moderators who were here. Thank you for your endless support despite our censored status.
I believe that if you stick to it and you stick through it, then then you're gonna see that the people who are sticking to it, we're gonna see the shadow bans lifted. We're gonna see the censorship lifted. I believe 2020 is going to be different. I think that it's going to turn around. I was talking to friends who kind of end timers who believe it's getting darker and darker. What?
Go ahead, but I had a dream last night. I need to tell you.
Okay. My saying to that is, if you think that these are dark times and you can still go to Starbucks and get a pizza,
not so dark.
Not so dark. So we'll see how dark it gets.
I had a dream last night that Donald Trump was at like this local-ish rally that was like happening like right now, but it was in Massachusetts and we were there. So it was local, and our friends Leo and Nancy were kind of hosting it with their church.
So you're in Plymouth.
And yes. And so it was very small gathering, but Donald Trump does get up and speak, and I have a press pass, and I ask him a question, and I say, will you be coming here? Would you come here for the 400-year anniversary for July 4th for part of your campaign? And you could tell that he was like really thinking about it. Like, yeah. And like everybody in the room was like rallying and cheering behind me. Like, yeah, you need to come for that. And it'd be so great. And like he and his like people, you could tell they were like, we'll see if we can make that happen. So to see that Donald Trump will come. And then there was like a dinner, like a little potluck dinner, and he comes over and brings his little paper plate to this like table of 4 where you and I are sitting at, and we're just talking to Donald Trump. And I asked him if we can get our picture taken, and he says yes. And I was like, can we actually get a video interview together with you? Can we interview you, Mr. President? And he was like, yes. A legit dream I had. Totally real. It's prophetic. Totally prophetic. Which one thing that I did take away from the dream, I wrote this in my journal, is I probably should go ahead and do the press pass thing that I haven't done yet. So Leah and I will become Associated Press. So Redneck had said,
I wonder if we could take that to Twitter and be like, unshadow ban me, please. I'm Associated Press. Give me one of them blue checkies. They don't do that for James O'Keefe. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so Redneck had asked for a song, His Eye is on the Sparrow. I'm not going to sing it, but I do have a recording of it. You can go to our videos and watch the recording of that. So we love you guys.
And I know
I was singing it earlier today, actually, while I was putting my hair in braids. That's good. Taxation is theft. Socialism, the philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, and the gospel of envy.
I'm going to give you in this with the Lord for you guys. God has a wonderful plan for your life.
Yes, he does.
And there's a scripture. My Bible's upstairs. It's in Proverbs chapter 8. And see if I can find it off the bat here. I want you guys to know that God has a plan for you. And if you're in a place where you're feeling a little bit low, or you're feeling you've been reading the Bible and you've been following the Holy Spirit, and things just don't seem to start clicking, start getting it out. Okay, I know a lot. Make some Facebook posts. Yeah. Make some videos. Get on a blogger and get it out there if somebody sees it. Because what happens is stuff gets inside of you and you got to get it out. And Proverbs, actually, it wasn't Proverbs 8 that I was, actually, I'm not sure exactly where the scripture was. But I want to talk, Proverbs chapter 8 is amazing to me. It's about wisdom. Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice? She stands in the top of the high places. And what's very interesting, I was talking about this to Michelle, Proverbs often refers to wisdom as female. And I do believe that that's kind of like the female attribute of God is wisdom. So take that, ladies. She standeth in the top of the high places by the way in the place of the path. She cries in the gates at the entry of the city. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men. O you simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are righteousness. There is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understands, and right to them that finds knowledge. Receive my instruction and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. We still want you to use gold and silver. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things that may be desired are not compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy, and the evil way and the froward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom I am understanding, I have strength. By me kings reign, and princes decree justice. It says, the Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. The Lord possessed me. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills were brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass on the face of the depth. When he established the clouds above. When he strengthened the fountains of the deep. When he gave to the sea his decree, and the water should not pass his commandment. When he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him. I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of the earth. And my delights were with the sons of men. Very interesting. Get wisdom, get understanding. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. But that word fear does not mean being scared of.
Right.
It means to honor, to reverence, and to love, and to know that God loves you. And I want to encourage you that God loves you and he has a wonderful plan for your life. And I was thinking about Patriot Gallery and how she's always brought out the good of God in me, even when the world would push me in another direction. So if I'm going to be farming and planting plants, she's the first one to say, you're doing a good job, you know? Or if I picked the patch of pickled pears. Now, I picked pears yesterday. I know she's going to be like, that's a really good job. When we do our videos or when we sing songs, the Christian, when we do things that I know are uplifting, things that are good. My mom has always been this person who would bring out good. And not everybody has a good mom. Not everybody has a good dad. I have mom privilege. I recognize that. I honor my mom privilege, having a good mom. But God never leaves you alone. Okay? Whether it's an evangelist on television, whether it's the church you go to, or your grandma, or a neighbor down the street, God doesn't leave you alone without somebody in your life that's going to be like, you're doing something good. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to that person or persons. And if you don't have a person, the Bible is always going to be there to say, this is good, this is right, walk in this way, because we all need affirmation. And sometimes, mostly, it's for bad. Okay? And the people, like, we find these affirmations that the world affirms us in different ways. Like, if you were a liberal or a lefty, they'd affirm you for being an abortion proponent, right?
Right.
And you want people in your life who affirm you when you know you're doing what's right, because you can feel it inside. When I go plant some seeds, I know I did the right thing. And so I want somebody to say, hey, good job.
Good job, Leah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And so I want to tell you, and that's what we're here for you. Okay? You say, I don't have anybody in my life. Guess what?
Good job.
You have resistant chicks. Okay? We're affirming you in the things that you're doing. If you're a good parent, good job. If you're being a homesteader and you're maybe you're planting plants, good job. If you're if you have a water source and you have a well, or, you know, good job. If you are getting in your word and you're reading your Bible, good job. If you're loving your siblings and taking care of them, good job. God loves you. You're doing a good work, and God sees you, and what you do in secret, He will reward you in openness. So we make a pledge here to you today that we are going to be here to affirm you, and that's what we are here to do. To affirm people who are doing good things and encourage people to bring out the good in them. The scripture I was trying to find was that there's a depth of wisdom in person, but a man of understanding will draw it out. And I want to draw out. You only found us because you have some wisdom and something good inside of you. And so my pledge to you is that I'm going to try every show to draw out goodness in you, to draw out the plan of God in your life. So that I'm hoping and I'm praying that when you leave our show, you feel better about something that you did, that you worked hard at, that you know that you did what was right, but maybe there wasn't somebody there to say, good job, you know? So I'm telling you, when you're following the Lord, God loves you, He sees you, and He will reward you openly what you do in secret. Good job.
Very good.
That's Resistance Chick's message to you today. Good job.
I love it.
Good
I love
job. Good job. Get your message out there about Tommy Robinson. Good job. Get the message out there, Eric Mathis, about abortion. Save some lives. Good job. Good job.
All right, you guys. Good job and good night, and we will see you back on Sunday.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you called my name.